And thanks so much for joining us for Friday's edition of Alaska Weather. On the 24th day of September 2021, I'm Dave Percy, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service. I'll be hosting today's show. Up first, let's see, we've got the first graphic kind of buried there. Snowfall amounts around, the Anchorage area actually appear quite varied and variable, from just a trace out at the Weather Service Forecast Office on the west side or at the airport to as much as 8 to 13 inches of snow on the upper hillside area, and the lower hillside, or actually the mid hillside, at about 8 inches of snow, roughly 900 foot level. Otherwise, winter weather advisory continues for tonight for the Alaska Range, for gusty winds resulting in snow and blowing snow, additional snowfall of a few inches possible, and winds will be slowly coming down, but the advisory out through tonight. And that's it as far as watches, warnings, advisories go for around the state. And continuing on here, satellite imagery showing a slow-moving front that brought the heavy rains to the southern panhandle, anywhere from 2 to 4 or 5 inches in some areas, seen maybe more than that, others less than that, but that front kind of stalling out and allowing the rainfall to really accumulate down there. But that's tapering off today, becoming more showery, with even ending there over the central areas, and then more showers to the north there with the next batch of clouds southeast of Yakutat and west of Sitkinak as the main low center weakens but holds in the Gulf of Alaska, and the moisture that brought the snow and rain south central Alaska and yesterday in the Copper River Basin kind of shifting up to the north, breaking up, and some good clearing occurring over the western interior today from actually the Western Brooks Range, Noatak Valley areas southward into Bristol Bay, Kodiak Island clearing out with a dry northwest wind flow there. Otherwise, next system moving into the northwest Bering Sea has a band of clouds into the Bering Strait, St. Lawrence Island, to just west of St. Paul, and that brought milder southerly winds St. Lawrence Island. They had rain and fog, light rain and fog throughout the day today. That's spreading up into the Bering Strait and slowly shifting eastward toward the Pribilof, still just to your west there. And then behind that, colder air coming down the Russian Far East, dropping the snowfall levels down lower again. Otherwise, the Aleutians pretty good. Few clouds, maybe an isolated shower, and then a little bit more moisture over toward the Fox Islands, Alaska Peninsula area. And up along the Arctic coast, still some clouds starting to build off to the west there with a trough that's swinging around. Otherwise, southerly flow bringing that moisture up to the eastern Arctic coastal areas there, with some light snow and fog associated with it, eastern North Slope as well. And then south of the mountains, a little bit more extensive area of light snow that's ending slowly from west to east. And you can see it clears out pretty good there along the mid-Yukon River Valley area down into the Kuskokwim Valley, and you pick up a few clouds there, southern Kuskokwim Valley. But Bristol Bay, mostly clear, sunshine this afternoon, and some breaks even along the southwest coast and Nunivak Island, as well as out over especially the western Aleutians, but even some sun breaks, Adak and Atka, but generally cloudy with a little bit more in the way of shower activity, but not much, just light at that, and scattered for the Fox Islands, and even to a lesser extent over the Alaska Peninsula. On the forecast for tonight, we'll see a very weak low. Doesn't really do much over the panhandle. Just keep it mostly cloudy with a few showers around the southern areas. A little more extensive shower activity up to the north, but all that diminishing low pressure continues to weaken there south of the Seward Peninsula. As a result, rainfall rates will diminish, becomes more showery and lighter. Winds no longer a factor at all. And areas of light snow, leftover moisture, along with an upper level trough, keeps areas of light snow from the Alaska Range, maybe the northern Copper River Basin, areas of that condition all the way up to the eastern Arctic coast, but dry, that clear edging eastward. Showers linger over the Kenai Peninsula, again, as I mentioned, decrease. Stays clear Kodiak Island, and chance of rain or snow, Seward Peninsula. And that area of moisture just reaching the west side of Nunivak Island definitely drops into the Pribilofs, Fox Islands, and Atka Island area, but clearing back out to the west. Alaska Peninsula, just mostly cloudy, light winds. Forecast for Saturday, that moisture comes inland a little bit and off to the northeast, form of rain or snow depending on your time of day, latitude, and elevation. There from the Kobuk Valley, Kotzebue, Selawik, across all the Seward Peninsula, chance of light rain or snow or some mixture of, and that'll extend into St. Lawrence Island. Probably a little bit drier today or tomorrow than what you saw today, especially on the west side. And kind of breezy for the Fox Islands with showers, risk of a shower for the Pribilofs, and basically dry for the Alaska Peninsula. And you can get into some sunshine, Bristol Bay, extending up into some sun breaks or Cook Inlet, mostly sunny Kodiak Island. Showers continue to linger due to that persistent but now almost washed out low in the Gulf south of Resurrection Bay there. Chance of showers, Prince William Sound, drying out over the Panhandle, again with areas of sunshine, but lingering showers to the north. And the outlook for Sunday, weak high pressure there over the Tanana Valley, right around the Fairbanks and Nana area. And to the east of that, persistent area of light snow showers, again, upper level trough responsible for that from the central eastern Alaska range up the eastern border there, maybe Northway Toke, Chicken to Eagle, and then on up to Old Crow. That'll be light, whatever it is, and tend to diminish throughout the afternoon. Shower chances, central Panhandle, a little bit better chance of rain depending on how much moisture wraps up around that front there near the Queen Charlottes. But could see dry conditions for Elfin Cove to Haines there in Skagway. High pressure, light winds for the eastern Bering Sea. Risk of a shower, weak trough coming over the top of that ridge. Clouds, showers there into the Yukon-Kuskokwim Delta. Could be rain or snow, a little more westerly, possibly cooler, dropping the snowfall levels down closer to sea level, St. Lawrence Island, but whatever falls will be light. And next system looks like small craft advisory level winds, maybe a narrow band of gales in advance of the frontal systems there, pushing into the central Aleutians with widespread area of rain from Atka Island westward to the Komodorskis. Not too bad. Alaska Peninsula, Sandpoint, Chignik, mostly sunny, mostly cloudy for Port Hayden, Pilot Point, Nelson Lagoon, Cold Bay somewhere in between, and light winds and variably cloudy skies for the Fox Islands. And from there, looks pretty good for the Arctic coast, or I should say going up to the north, it looks good for the Arctic coast, north slope, mostly dry, light winds, and some clearing. Moving on, forecast lows tonight in the lower to mid 40s for the Panhandle. Inland areas, southern Alaska in the 20s, lower 20s in the case of king salmon in the Kuskokwim Valley, and in the 20s for the Susitna-Manuska Valley, Copper River Basin, 30s out toward the coastline, and the highs tomorrow in the 40s, lower 40s, Kuskokwim Valley, upper 40s, mid to upper 40s, Bristol Bay, Kodiak Island, and mostly in the mid 40s, south central Alaska, lower 40s, Copper River Basin, mid 50s, southern Panhandle to near 50 in the north. And for the lows on Sunday morning, near 20 for the Copper River Basin. Some areas a little below 20, some areas a little above. And 20s and lower 30s, south central Alaska, upper 30s, Kodiak Island. In the 20s, west of the Alaska and Aleutian ranges there. And lower to mid 40s for the Panhandle, followed by highs again, the mid 50s there, Prince of Wales Island, otherwise upper 40s to the north. 40 to 45 across much of southern Alaska, upper 40s Bristol Bay and the Homer area, lower 50s for Kodiak Island. Lows up along the Arctic coast in the 20s tonight, maybe a little below 20 as you get into the north slope, and then the Brooks Range there, Anatuvik forecast low of 9, and south of the mountains, upper teens to lower 20s, upper 20s around Fairbanks, and lower to mid 30s, Seward Peninsula, upper 30s, St. Lawrence Island. Highs the following day will be upper 20s, lower 30s for the Arctic coast, into the Brooks Range, south of the Brooks Range, lower to mid 30s, and then near 40 in the central interior areas, mildest out again toward the Seward Peninsula, Norton Bay, and St. Lawrence Island, upper 30s over toward Eagle. Sunday morning lows, teens for Eagle, otherwise teens and lower to mid 20s there, kind of a depending on your clearing, but mostly in the teens for the north slope, 20s for the Arctic coast, mid to upper 30s Nome and Savunga. And highs 30 to 35 for the North Slope and Arctic coast, and 38 to 42 for the interior areas. And the Bering Sea, not too bad. Lows tonight, 40 St. Paul to 45 at Shemya. Otherwise, somewhere in between, Alaska Peninsula, upper 30s, lower 40s. Highs tomorrow, near 50 for the Pribilof, Central Aleutians. Otherwise, looking at upper 40s for that area. And mid 40s along the southwest coast, upper 40s Bristol Bay. Followed by lows Sunday morning, 20s Bristol Bay, but either side of 40 for the Alaska Peninsula and the Pribilofs, mid 30s St. Lawrence Island. Followed by highs, lower 50s for the central and western Aleutians and the Alaska Peninsula.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
IFR, Eastern Arctic Coast, marginal VFR for the north slope to the Brooks Range, and then southward there into the upper Yukon Valley with IFR, Eastern Interior, all the way down to the Eastern North Gulf Coast Range. And starting out IFR Yakutat, Eastern Panhandle, some IFR Seward Peninsula to St. Lawrence Island. Bering Sea, mostly marginal VFR, as well as the Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula. Good VFR, Bristol Bay, Kodiak Island, Cook Inlet, Kenai Peninsula up into the interior. And moving on to the afternoon, Saturday afternoon, looking like this. We've got areas of IFR over the eastern interior from the eastern North Slope all the way down to the North Gulf Coast, with marginal VFR into the central Panhandle and eastern Bering Sea to the Alaska Peninsula on Alaska Island, a break for Udenmak Island, and then some more marginal VFR for the western central Aleutian areas, marginal VFR for the Arctic coast, and most of the North Slope, western Brooks Range VFR. And then for the morning on Sunday, IFR there, Seward Peninsula and Nulato Hills, and all the way up to the central Arctic coast, North Slope areas, and most of the Brooks Range, and then eastern interior areas over toward the border, looking IFR at about, say, Eielson or so, or North Pole eastward to the border, IFR, and then some VFR breaking out just west of Fairbanks. More widespread VFR, southern Alaska, but IFR right on the southern coast of the Seward Peninsula, and maybe the Talkeetnas, Panhandle VFR, marginal VFR, all of the Bering Sea, IFR, they're just south of Shimianat too. And for the afternoon, Sunday, IFR a little more widespread now with the next system there pushing into the southwest Bering, and from Shimianat to eastward to Adak by the afternoon, marginal VFR for the remainder of the Bering Sea, Aleutians, most of the Alaska Peninsula, and extending into the and up along the Kuskokwim and Yukon River Valley areas there, all the way up to the Arctic coast. Some VFR for the greater Fairbanks area on up toward maybe Chena and possibly Beaver. Otherwise, VFR mostly Bristol Bay, southern Alaska, Cook Inlet, Manuscus, Susitna Valley, Prince William Sound, and most of the Panhandle looks to be VFR with some lingering marginal VFR down south and over toward the eastern border. Passes, Anatuvik, marginal VFR for the day Saturday. IFR for Adigan. Lake Clark and Merrill, VFR. Looking good, western central Alaska range, rainy and windy. May start out marginal, becoming VFR during the morning hours through the afternoon. And Isabel looks like it'll be mostly mostly IFR at times throughout the day Saturday. And Mentasta, IFR turning toward marginal VFR. Look for a gradual improvement from Mentasta Pass throughout the day. And Tanita, marginal VFR to VFR, right on the edge of the conditions there. Portage, mostly marginal VFR, or VFR at other times there, especially in the afternoon. Lowest conditions probably on the eastern entrance. Chilkoot and White, IFR improving to marginal VFR, maybe better. And for the freezing levels, 2,000 feet up into Norton Sound there, and then down to Kodiak Island, and then northern Panhandle area, 4,000 feet south of the Aleutians, just catching the southern southeast coast there, and at the surface right along the southwest coastline and mostly North Gulf Coast. For the icing, areas of isolated moderate, rime or mixed icing, eastern interior, North Gulf Coast, northern Panhandle, another elevated area there from the northwest interior, Kotzebue, Selawik Valley, Noatak Valley down across Seward Peninsula, and in that zone across St. Lawrence Island to the Pribilofs, eastern Aleutians and Alaska Peninsula. Taking a look at the jet stream, main jet just grazing the Aleutians there with the jet cores to the south. Otherwise, southwest flow continues into the Panhandle, 70 knots there, eastern North Gulf Coast. Lighter winds, much lighter winds over the interior under a general trough of low pressure. And at 3,000 feet, we can see weak high pressure in over the Yukon Delta, lower Yukon River Valley areas, and low up over the western Arctic coast. Between the two features, westerlies 25 to 30 knots there between those two centers, and southwest 30, or I'm sorry, northeast at 30 knots there around that high and low over Kodiak Island. Otherwise, 30 to 40 knot winds, Aleutians, and 40 knots out of the northwest for the Fox Islands at 3,000 feet. That'll result in moderate chop for Unmac and Unalaska Islands through the day Saturday.
Welcome back to another edition of Alaska Weather Facts. I'm Dave Snyder, and joining me again is Cindy Preller. She's the Tsunami Program Manager for Alaska Region's National Weather Service. Thanks again for joining us, Cindy.
Thanks for having me back, Dave.
Sure thing. And I love saying Tsunami Program Manager for Alaska's National Weather Service because that's not weather. Why is the Tsunami Program part of the National Weather Service?
Well, it's because the Weather Service absolutely rocks at warning people for every kind of, devastating natural hazard.
Mm-hmm. The mission of the Weather Service is to protect life and property. And so how does the Tsunami Warning Center in Palmer, Alaska, which is a very unique office, again, within the Weather Service, it's not weather, how do those folks help us protect life and property?
The National Tsunami Warning Center in Palmer is a national warning center, and we analyze seismic traces 24/7 all around the world. So when there's an earthquake anywhere on the planet, we see it and analyze it within minutes.
Within minutes, and
Within
there's
minutes.
actually a goal to have it under, was it 5 minutes?
If there is a tsunami warning to be issued for continental America, we must get that out, or shoot to get that out in 5 minutes.
Okay. Now that's not something I have ever learned to do, so I know it would be a struggle for me to do that under probably hours. But it is fascinating to watch, and the office is open on a regular basis for tours, right?
Absolutely. Come by Friday.
Okay.
Yep, every Friday at 1, 2, and 3 p.m. They're open public free tours. And it's the most interesting place on the planet. You really should check it out.
Okay, and the office team is made up of people that are earth scientists, not meteorologists or atmospheric scientists. Talk about some of the types of people that work there.
Right, we are out of place in our National Weather Service, but we are geologists, geophysicists, oceanographers. We even have an astrophysicist on board, computer software architects, electronic technicians that are brilliant and innovative. Our software is all written in-house. Our instrumentation is designed in-house. So it's a really, really unique place, and it's just a couple handfuls of people that work there. So
sure.
Yeah.
One of my favorite ways to get a tsunami alert message is on Twitter.
Right.
And I can follow the Twitter address, and we'll put that up on the screen for you there. But it's usually a very quick message that tells you initially what the magnitude of an earthquake could be and about where its epicenter was. What are some of the other ways that you can get that alert message?
Well, Twitter's my favorite too.
Yeah.
And you don't even need a Twitter account to receive
Right.
it. So it just comes in like an SMS message. But
Mm-hmm.
you can also receive it via email, weather radio, of course, the crawler on your television screen, on the internet, Google Alerts,
Right.
marine radio if you're out in harbors and boats. Actually, marine radio is probably,
Yeah, it is a good one.
that's our partnership with the Coast Guard. We're really grateful for that, absolutely. But there's a variety of ways in dissemination.
Okay.
And locally, excuse me, I'm sorry, but
Sure.
locally in the communities, the sirens will go off as
Right.
well.
Right. So lots of different ways to get that very important message very quickly when that matters to you. One of the ways that the Warning Center practices with communities is a test on a yearly basis, right?
Right.
How does that work?
Thanks for bringing that up. It's a controversial issue, but it's super important to help us warn better and really serve Alaskans. So the week of March 27th, the commemoration of the 1964 event, for that week we have a Tsunami Preparedness Week every year. We like communities to get out and do drills and practice and do everything we can to raise awareness. And part of that is a live code test where we actually issue the warning message live and we activate the emergency alert system, which means sirens go off, the TV crawler happens, and it's a test.
We're
and
doing everything that would normally happen without the real threat of the tsunami, just to
Right.
practice as much as possible.
Right, and this is a major partnership with the State of Alaska, Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management, the Emergency Operations Center,
Right.
and the Alaska Broadcasters Association. Without the media, we wouldn't be able to do this. So the three groups really work tightly together to do our best to warn, educate the public that this is happening, so they don't wonder and get scared about it. It has been remarkable what we've learned. I mean, it pretty much breaks somewhere every time,
Sure.
but then we fix it, and it gets better. So a quick example is just a few years ago, we used to, when we issued a message, it would activate the entire state.
Right.
Right? I mean, Kotzebue, Nome, Bethel, everybody would be in tsunami warning. And so now we can regionalize it to where the actual event is taking place.
Right.
That's pretty huge.
Right, right. So identifying points of failure and also points of success, and making sure we continue down that successful path so that folks are warned as quickly and accurately as possible.
Absolutely. And, you know, to get our communities involved to prep themselves, prep their businesses, prep their tourism, prep their schools, you know, just make this an annual thing they need to be doing.
Right. So as citizens wanting to be prepared, we should be prepared to learn more about that test that's happening usually toward the end of March every year.
Right, and you should be happy that it's happening.
Right.
Instead of upset. Definitely be happy that it's happening.
Right. Just as we test tornado sirens in tornado country, we also have to test the tsunami program as well.
Right, because there isn't enough time. You know, for a local tsunami, the wave will arrive in less than 2 minutes. So it's super important that people know what to do.
Very good. Well, Cindy, thank you so much for helping us know more about the Tsunami Ready program and the test. And the Tsunami Warning Center is a very unique and very important job in the National Weather Service that is just fascinating to me every time I visit the office. So,
It's the only one for the continent. You really should come check it out.
it's an international effort.
Yes.
Wonderful stuff. Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you, Dave.
And thanks for joining us for another edition of Alaska Weather Facts. I'm Dave Snyder. We'll see you next time.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Looking at today, or the sea ice analysis actually from the 22nd of September, 2 days ago, you can see the change as I advance here to the next frame, how it seems to fill in. Back it up here again. There's on the 22nd. You can see the ice concentrations in the ice field itself are slowly increasing a little bit there, but not much of an advance toward the Arctic coast. Looks like an increase, though, over toward Mackenzie River Bay from the northwest a little bit there. Otherwise, kind of holding a stationary status quo, but again, the new ice is forming, thickening there in the main ice area, and sliding into late September. That'll probably continue now for the remainder of the fall. So moving on to coastal water forecasts. Light winds for the coast, outer coastline, 10 knots from the south and southwest. Seas still up there around 12 to 14 feet. And 15-knot winds central, or all of the inside waters and channels of the Panhandle there at, again, 15 knots south-southeasterly, seas 3 feet. Outlook for Sunday. Small craft advisories on the central coast, east winds 25 knots, otherwise 20 knots out of the east for the south coast. North coast kind of east to north at 15 knots. Seas down a little bit, but still 10 to 12 feet. Light winds for Lynn Canal from the southeast and Stevens Passage, southeast 15. Small craft advisories for Clarence Strait as south winds increase to 25 knots, seas build to 5 feet. Outlook for Cook Inlet for Saturday, first day of the weekend. Light north winds 10 to 15 knots, seas 3 feet. Northwest 20-knot winds, Kamishak Bay and the Barren Islands. And around Middleton Island, south at 15, western North Gulf Coast north at 15, 7 to 10 foot seas. And Prince William Sound, light northeast breeze at 10 knots. And for Sunday, Prince William Sound, north at 15, seas at about 3 feet. Same forecast for Cook Inlet, north winds 15 knots, 3 foot seas, and small craft advisories, Kamishak Bay and the Barren Islands, northwest at 30 knots, 8 to 10 foot seas. 20-knot winds from the north and northeast for the North Gulf Coast with 6 foot seas. Kodiak Island, north winds 15 knots. Alaska Peninsula, northwest winds 15 to 20 knots. Bristol Bay, north winds 15 knots. For Sunday, small craft advisories, Alaska Peninsula, northwest winds 25 knots and 10 foot seas. Small craft advisories also for Kodiak Island, west-northwest 25 to 30 knots, 5 to 9 foot seas, and Bristol Bay northwest at 20 with 7 foot seas. Fox Islands, tomorrow, small craft advisories for west and northwest winds, 25 knots. Seas running 9 to 12 feet. 20 to 25 knot northwest winds, Adak and Atka, 8 to 9 foot seas, and west to 20 Amchitka Island. And then during the afternoon, southeast winds increase to 25 knots over towards Shimei and Attu. Those will pick up and spread eastward, but should stay under gale force, at least as it looks at this point in time. So small craft advisories from Shimei toward Adak, southeast 25 to 30 knots, 10 foot seas, Atka Island, south 20 to 25 knots. Unalaska Island, small craft advisories, west winds 25 knots, 10 foot seas, and southwest 20 to 25, Unmak Island. Southwest coast, Yukon Delta coast, southwest at 20 knots. Small craft advisories for the Pribilofs and St. Matthew Island, west-northwest 25 to 30 knots. St. Lawrence Island, south at 15. Outlook for Sunday, west 15 St. Lawrence Island, and west-northwest winds 20 knots for the southwest coast. Small craft advisories for the Pribilofs says winds will be out of the west at 25 knots. Eastern Beaufort Sea coast, still looking at east winds of 15 knots with 5 foot seas for the day Saturday. Coming down to about 10 knots from the east. Central coast southeast on the west side. Cape Beaufort to Wales, north winds at 10 knots, seas 4 to 5 feet. And the outlook for the day Sunday, light winds, 10 knots, the entire stretch of the coastline out of the east and northeast, the central and eastern Beaufort Sea coast, west side southeast at 10 and south to southwest at 10 knots from Wales to Cape Beaufort. Tonight, high pressure dries it out with light winds over much interior Alaska. Actually, that area of clear sky starts to edge eastward. Shower slowly diminishes, low pressure weakens in the Gulf of Alaska. Upper level trough keeps, and leftover moisture keeps areas of light snow over the eastern interior, and it begins to, the rain eases up there, continues to ease up over the Panhandle, and that system over the Bering Sea there kind of gets caught up in northwest flow, stretching the moisture field out with some light precipitation Seward Peninsula, and the other batch dropping over the Fox Islands. Otherwise, a little drier over the interior on the east side. Outlook for Sunday, lingering snow showers toward the eastern border, mostly sunny east to central interior down to Bristol Bay and Kodiak Island.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.